How
I
was the
just
big
got.
day then?
It was fucking fascinating. Um, it was very, very, very bizarre. It always, it was very sub
Or,
one ish. You know what I mean?
yeah, I would imagine. I would like first you to compare it to the last thing you did, which was two of them. So how would you did you do one this time? Right.
Yeah, I mean, I did one. I mean, every single time you just come away from it thinking like, holy fucking shit, that just smashed my head like a pumpkin. You know what I mean? I like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
So you, after having had two, you didn't feel like this one was significantly less.
Well, I'll put it this way. There were times on this one where I was like, this is indistinguishable from just my normal life in many, many ways. And now, granted, the dirt bike also, so yeah, oh god, there's so many fucking little details here. So, my dirt bike, it broke the day before the trip. It broke.
That's
And
fascinating. Of course it
yeah,
did.
yeah. So I was on Lexi and Gavin's dirt bike.
So what broke about
The engine went out completely,
it?
totally broke. Like the whole bike was
Finally.
fucking shot. Yeah,
It was
the
just
day
waiting.
before.
It was just waiting the whole time.
It was. Yeah, it absolutely was. The thing has sentience and was waiting for the day before the trip. Like, it fucking knew. It always knows. But anyways, aside from that, the dirt bike especially too. It's like the dirt bike injuries were always so poignant. They were so on the nose, and they always meant something. Like I never had a fucking handlebar break if it wasn't for a reason. Every single time with that dumbass dirt bike. But aside from that, uh, uh, so I was on Lex and Gavin's dirt bike, which is like 3 feet tall, which honestly wasn't bad. It was just fascinating. Like it literally just felt like I was just flying around because I was shorter than I normally would be. I was at like less than sitting height. I was at like toddler height. So I was at like Holly's height if Holly could full sprint without ever getting tired. It was just gliding around like
Did you
Holly's
have
height.
more or less control of it?
More because at any point that I didn't have control of it before, I could just stand up and the bike would just move forward. But I'm 2 times taller, so okay, you can go wherever you want. I can just literally stand up and I'm free.
Fascinating.
So it was literally impossible to wreck, which also made it nice because I was capable of just staring up at the trees. Like I wasn't even looking at the trail, and the bike could just do whatever it wanted to do because I'm good enough with the bike where you know what I mean. It's like all of the normal wrecks were already prevented, and then any of the leftover wrecks that just were due to happenstance, I could just stand up through. So it was really nice, honestly. It was kind of the better
It-
trip bike, to be frank. Even if I had my normal bike, I would have gone back to in the future. Um,
That's funny. You have to go to like the kid's bike. So,
yeah.
next thing you gotta, you're on the tricycle. But were there any speed related visuals? Hold on.
Uh,
Yes, friend. Um,
did
I
you
don't want
did
you to be doing that too often.
did Ryan know he has a superpower? Did he know that he has a superpower? Did he know that he can actually detect my thought waves in your house?
Okay. Just do it. Just do it. Make sure make sure it is broken. I'm on call with actually. I apologize. Um. Uh, yes, Ashton.
What?
Go ahead, Ashton.
Um, I think last thing I was saying was that did Ryan know he has a superpower? If not, he
Yes,
should
you
know it.
go. Ryan, you do have a superpower for coming in at like times like right before Ashton's about to say something pretty important, and you
But
pretty
but Trevor,
consistent.
no no Trevor, it's not pretty consistent. If you think back, it's been literally every single call for the last like month. Since you guys left. Every single call, every individual one, it's happened. It's either and it hasn't just been Ryan. Like your father has also made an interest, I think, but it is still fascinating.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
The timing is just unprecedented every single time. But anyways,
Also, I was wondering, did you have any speed related visuals
I don't know what you mean by that.
while on the bike? Were there like what were some cool visuals on the bike? And
Oh
did
yeah, so
speed have anything to do with it?
yeah, I didn't. This one was not very visual at all.
Yeah.
Um, I just wasn't really thinking about it. And definitely no like speed related visuals. It doesn't look different in any capacity. If anything, and I've said this before, the bike makes things more normal. Because you're going by things so quickly, you can't like hyper focus on things like you typically would.
Honestly,
It's
I noticed the same thing with like walking. Like if I was
yeah,
walking and I was just kind of just going with that, it would be very normal. And it was only when I like kind of just sat or just stood still and looked at something, then did it start to change. But in movement, it kind of just blended together more like in
yeah,
reality.
yeah. Dirt bike's the same way. I had one moment which I just straight bodied sub one, which I've never done before. As in like literally, I just like became normal Ashton in the middle of it. I just created like a bubble of like normal Ashton, like you were talking about. Except it was like
Yeah, that's funny.
it was a framework. Like I did it on purpose, and it was just very weird to just in the middle of absolute fucking metaphysical chaos to just all of a sudden be like, oh, hey, I'm the guy who just puts on audiobooks in the evenings. You know what I mean? Like I'm just the normal everyday Ashton. I'm not the metaphysical like war hero that's been absolutely like just looking truth in the eyes for the last 8 hours. Which
Yeah.
the whole Nietzsche thing. I mean, Jesus. Yeah. So the fucking the new framework. I'll start with that. That's what I wanted to get into words. That's why I'm calling. Um, I need to get this in words before I fucking fall asleep.
Comparison to divine taste, was it?
Yeah, comparison to divine taste. So yeah, that framework is like kind of insane. It you like So, okay, so the point of a framework is to be able to react in any situation. So here's a situation which every old framework would have had an issue with. Let's say um you're getting cornered by a wolf. Okay? It's there's literally it's a very straightforward threat scenario, right? Uh Old ones like even the last one, which was really good, which was the whole interdimensional black hole thing. Like you're not actually gonna be able to do that when you're being cornered by a fucking wolf. You know what I mean? It's just like it's a step, there's steps. Well, so the new one, in relation to divine taste, it's like, oh god, this thing is so, it's so, oh, so. There's not even
Hold
words for it.
on,
It's
hold on. I'd like to hear your criticisms against the framework that I just heard was like one of the final frameworks. I just want to hear that.
yeah. So you need to know what divine taste is to know. So okay, so I'll have to go back to the example I was giving before. The criticism was basically that it's two steps. And what this one does, well, the reason that this one's
Wasn't it
better, huh?
supposed to be one step? Wasn't it supposed to be like the whole thing was that it was now one step?
It was so God. Okay, so now I'm gonna get into trying to explain frameworks, which is always where my mind starts falling into fucking shards because I'm describing such non-language phenomena. Okay, hold on here. So the last one was one thing, and I'll go ahead and explain what the last one was. And funny enough, I actually developed the last one more before I killed it. So there are actual new additions onto the one which I thought was the finale before it then got swapped out for an entire another framework today alone. Like that like yeah, that kind of summarizes. But so okay, so to go back to what it was before. All right, you have black hole, interdimensional and black hole. So the two steps, which are the same step, you are right, they were one thing, but it was also two different things that were one thing. Was it was that interdimensional was but basically your understanding of God, your the story, it was your lack of however you want to put it. It was just your understanding of God. And then the next thing was eat. So it basically came down to um you're always trying to understand God better so that you can eat better. Right? But even that, it's two different things. And when I got into the trenches of sub one, it just wasn't good enough. It's like it's too complicated. You're having too many different variables that you're trying to think of at the same time. You can't do this in the fucking face of war. You can't do this in the metaphysical hurricane. So basically what it got refined down to, um, and I'll go over the update of what happened to that one at later. I'll do that. I'll have to go back in my notes for that. But to go to what it is now, the modern one, the new framework, Um, that is in relation to divine taste, and this divine taste. I mean, this thing is fucking absurd. This thing is absolutely ridiculous. This isn't just a framework. This is a whole will to, like, in the same way. And I didn't even understand what other people meant by will to anything. I didn't understand what like will to power or will to being. I didn't really understand what those concepts meant until I understood what mine meant. And now I understand it's like what they're trying to say is just that everything is this, right? Everything springs from every action, everything that every piece of society, all of it can be traced back to a will to power. All of it can be traced back to a will to being. That's what these guys are saying, is that that essentially that's God. This one concept, that's where everything flows from. And and the taste, it's like that really is the perfect explanation. And really, it is what Nietzsche was talking about. At this point, I don't think I have a single criticism of Nietzsche, other than just the claim metaphysics are useless. It's like it's more nuanced than that, and I think even he understood and would have agreed that it's more nuanced than that if you really cornered him on it. But I mean, that's really the only criticism I have. His whole philosophy is fucking perfect. Other than that, I mean, he really, I think he got it. I think Nietzsche was, even though he's the guy who, it's funny, even though he's the guy who did away with metaphysics, I genuinely think he's the person who understood our philosophy better than anyone else, other than maybe Plato. But that's up to Deleuze and Thimba. I still don't get Plato yet. But so the this this will to taste every single action. So like I'll just give you like a very specific example. When speaking to my father, right? Before, I would have when speaking to my father, I would have been trying to think, okay, so I'm speaking to my father, and interdimensionally, like it's strange that like me and my father are separate people because we're actually both the same. We're both being entity. You know, what I mean, things like that, right? Like that's interdimensional. Interdimensional is just thinking, right? The left brain thinking about trying to eat, right? But whereas with this one, I understand. It's understand like it's understanding. It isn't like a reaching. It's like a process. And yeah, that's another thing. It's fucking what was it? An ego is to taste. That's a whole nother thing, which is like that's an incredibly complex thing in itself, which is super valuable. Where it's basically saying like every single time you think, it is it's something to be sacrificed. Like I was thinking about that too. Just like that's something that this trip was obsessing about was like the cruelty of just existence. Every time someone does that, every single time that I'm left just thinking on someone, it's like it really wants to hammer home how fucking cruel God is. And I'm not sure why that is. It's very interesting. But it, what that means here is like mm, damn it, I forgot what I thought I was tracing it back to. Hold on, okay, so an ego is to taste is about like um so yeah, the cruelty. So an ego is to taste is about what is the word I'm looking for? Sacrifice. Yeah, you are a sacrifice. Every thought you have is you. Every thought you have, right? You could almost look at it as an individual person, an individual like flight of consciousness. Each individual one is a sacrifice, and each individual one is a striving towards the infinite, a striving towards the divine taste, a striving towards God, striving towards truth, a striving towards power, however you want to put it. It's a striving towards the ideal, a striving towards perfection, right? Um, and
And that every action that the person makes, everything that person does, every thought they have is going towards that higher ideal,
yeah, and
whether
the
they're
the
conscious of it or not.
yeah, and it's so true when you really break it down. It's like I mean everything of course animals like just to like a bare level. It's like they have no idea, but what they're doing is they're evolving. Like little do they know, they are reaching towards God. They are reaching towards something greater. They are already in the process of evolving towards something greater, whether they know it or not. And it's like we are the exact same. I mean, obviously, but we're beyond biological evolution. We've reached mental evolution, and that's where we're heading. And I completely forgot what I was tying that into again. Um, I'll tie it back into this.
Eat to taste.
Yeah, I can't remember how that ties into everything else though. But I'll just jump in on this. The worm. I said I don't fucking watch this worm just wriggle in the dirt. Um, for fucking like 30 minutes, and it's just like that. I mean, that is the epitome of us. You know what I mean? Just a worm wriggling in the dirt.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like every single thought is just to get out of everything. Every single thought is just to the ideal, to the and like I was saying before, it's like and that this goes to everything. Like if you look at just the way society is formed, if you look, oh yeah, this was a great fucking quote I had. Society is getting caught up in the willing when they could be doing the tasting. It's like they've gotten so like it's almost like they've looked at what the previous generation did to strive towards God, and then they mimicked it, and they have this hollow representation of what they think it looks like to strive for
We
God.
that throughout history, that's always been the corruption of society is when the rituals have become dogmatic and people look at it left brain instead of what sparked those stuff in the first place, which was much more of a right brained activity in the first place, which people could not live after hundreds and hundreds of years um, of it fading away.
I'll tell you what, it feels like going fucking insane. Like I can absolutely see like how you go insane just thinking about these things, especially after this one. The whole time I felt like I am very lucky. I have a very strong grip on reality because the concept I'm playing with right now, like this understanding of everything as a will to taste, like this is a concept far beyond powerful enough to just sweep me off my fucking feet and destroy what I thought I was as a person. Like that is an extremely scarily powerful thing. Um, yeah, I don't know. It is exactly will to power. Like I don't even know if I can say it's different. Other than that, obviously I would say that we're trying to emphasize different things. Um, but I haven't even really construed what we want to convey differently than Nietzsche. I'm still
Was
really
and some would even argue that Nietzsche's will to power is in itself a metaphysics, and by
yeah
that he also
yeah
means everything. But
that
he
is true.
doesn't explicitly say
And
that, unfortunately.
he kind of does. In Zarathustra, he literally has a name for God, and he calls it eternity, which is a good fucking name. Um, but dude, Thus Spoke is such a fucking banger. Sweet fucking Christ, that book is good. Like Jesus fucking. Oh yeah. Oh my fucking god. And get this, the fucking Adrian Tchaikovsky, this motherfucker. We gotta break into his house and fucking beat him within an inch of consciousness and question him on what does he know? How does he know these things? He's written a fucking species. I don't want to spoil it, but also it's like I mean I cannot see you ever getting around this in a point where I can even remember this, so I have to go and tell you now. But there are these he creates another uplifted species, and it's octopodes, octopi, octopuses, right? And they are they're the perfect fucking analogy for right brain because the guy knows neuroscience and there's no doubt he knows the fucking left brain right brain neuroscience because he writes them in the fucking perfect way. Like so okay, they are just as like a synopsis here. They constantly switch allegiances. Like they have absolutely no thoughts, no left brain thoughts. They don't think anything. They transmit what they think in the present moment on their skin is colors, right? So they're constantly speaking in an abstract pattern of colors. But then they wrestle. They're literally fighting. They can tear off each other's limbs, and in this display of dominance, they're trading information. It's extremely quick language. They're doing it between like the way they wrestle, the nuances of the way they wrestle, and the way they're like their suction cups are intertwining and stuff. It's extremely nuanced physical language, along with their visual language, which is their colors, and and essentially they're always speaking. They're always jabbering. Like in the same way, like your left brain is constantly trying to form a narrative. That's their equivalent is just that flaring over their body. But the thing is, it isn't the left brain the way we think it is. It doesn't it doesn't have consistent thoughts. It's entirely dependent on how they feel in that moment. So, like, and one octopus is capable of arguing with another using its colors and its display of dominance, its fighting, right? And instantly shifting to a position which is completely counterintuitive to the one it had before because it lost the argument, and then instantly afterwards it's shifting back to the original point of view because it lost another argument. Because like they're entirely like they have no like grounding, they have no foundation. There's nothing between them and believing something entirely different. They're perfectly open-minded. They're perfectly right-brained. They're entirely present moment creatures, and it's just like it's just bizarre. It's bizarre how well he got them down, and he knew like the way he's writing about it. He knows exactly what he's doing, and the guy has got
That
several different fucking bangers, several different creatures, which are all great analogies for religious things. It's like, ooh, yeesh, like what, like how? It's just bizarre. It's just very strange.
that is extremely special. What is his name? I'm gonna look him up, see if I can't find anything, and see if he has any relations to
Adrian
something.
Tchaikovsky. But seriously, you should read his books. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say executive decision, and you know I mean this because I've recommended Ian and Banks books for the last fucking 2 years now. You should read this before you read Ian and Banks. It's just as good, and it's more religiously relevant. And holy fuck, it is good. I mean, sweet fucking Jesus Christ, it is good, good stuff. I mean, genuinely, the perfect sci-fi equivalent to like Better Call Saul, in my opinion. The way they're just like perfectly executed. Every single time someone speaks, it's
Mm-hmm.
always like just it's very intentional. It's trying to convey a beautiful thought texture to you. Every time someone opens their goddamn mouth, it's trying to paint a pretty picture, not just farther than narrative. You know what I mean? Um, like you know what I mean by
Where
that?
where
We're like whatever his name is, Vince Gilligan. Like a scene will not just be to move things forward, but it will be something which typically would be, pointless, and he will make it gorgeous. He'll just make it like a way to just show you how beautiful everyday life is by just like his cinematography. Like that's what this book does with words. But anyways, what were you saying?
um so it would be on your account, right?
Yes, Audible account. Yes,
All right. I would need to download that on my phone.
indubitably you would. Yes, you should do that right now.
I'm doing that.
So the will to taste, and the framework. Yeah, the framework. The in relation to divine taste, dude. The in relation to divine taste, I can't even really understand what the potential of this is. It is literally instant. Like it is literally one step, and it's like with this becomes like every bit of understanding. Like you understand your own mind, every single thought, with every single fucking thought which could possibly form. You understand exactly where it sits, exactly where it sits in
Don't
your
you
mind.
have to consider that it is instantly one thought, but you are like 13 hours after sub one,
Yes,
so the power
yeah,
levels will be.
yeah, and absolutely, and also I have no doubt that it's extremely possible that what will happen is now that I've gotten it down to one, it will eventually break back up into two, and then break back into one, and then back into two. Like it will just be forever a dance of trying to simplify something which can't be simplified. You know what I mean? Um,
Hmm.
I also see that entirely as a possibility, but I'm hoping when I'm watching the framework mathematics, I'm hoping that I understand the basis of the change enough to be able to see if I'm repeating. But we'll see, we'll see. Um, but alas,
But I definitely do think the future is not relying on steps, but truly just existing in that state always.
yeah, that's what this is. And also another group of people, the people who talk about becoming, and I don't even know who that is yet. I don't know what motherfucker talks about becoming, but I know that that's a good concept. I was thinking that, and it's like that is the in relation to divine taste. I mean, yeah. So it's just like in the same. Oh my god. So the last big framework that was like this was um in relation to divine pattern, which was of course the last big sub one experience.
The mad pattern.
Yeah, yeah. And the reason
And
why,
then what do you mean by big framework? Do you mean just like
like,
because they were both sub one frameworks?
no, as in like one that I thought was like this is the one to end it all. This is the one. This is the only way I know how to explain it, and it's not explain it right, but this is the one which will fix anything from me talking to the gas station assistant to, you know what I mean, being 2 tabs deep. This is the one which solves it all. This is the one which puts everything in relation to each other. This is the first one that I've thought this since the last sub one experience. But it's like there is very noticeable differences.
Dude, this is the most exponential change.
Um uh I don't even want to say that, even though it's probably true. The only reason I would be apprehensive to say that is only because it's meaningless coming from me, because every single change seems to be exponential. So I don't even seem to be able to have a basis for that.
Well, I mean, like for example, within the last few experiences throughout the summer, and from the night before and the night after, as far as your level of understanding, was this one bigger than the rest of the summer, or is it the equal level?
As far as understandings go, it absolutely blows anything that we had while you were in out of the water. Which isn't at all surprising because I was doing cartwheels, hitting the bag, and swimming in the pool. You know what I mean? It's like I wasn't really just sitting and deeply, deeply pondering on metaphysics.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
that's what I was assuming.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah. Then yes, absolutely. If that's what you meant, then I would say yes. This one was exponentially more powerful than even the one we had with two. As far as it was much deeper. I went much more deep into my psyche than I did even when we did two. It felt more powerful
That
that
makes
way.
sense because we're always like, I think even just always being around another human being and then always being in conversation with that person activates just a part of our brain that just has that focus on that instead of
Yeah, I
fully
I I,
embracing
I could not
infinity.
agree more. Actually, that's something which that right. What you just said right there is exactly what I was trying to say. Every time I would I would trail off massively when speaking during sub one, is trying to explain like what that means. Like basically what would happen is I would be speaking, and then I would try and understand why I was speaking and like continue speaking, and it would devolve into a sort of meta commentary on speaking itself.
Hmm.
I can't even,
Yeah.
yeah. But as far as the will to taste goes, like it explains things like why my mother does the things she does, why Nana does, like it, and it also like the ego, the like I can only explain it with these stupid fucking gay ass words. They sound so gay. Cold, uh, computer, sitting back, counterattack, like these stupid fucking dumbass words that are just trying to get to the thought texture. But it's like that very I the feeling of like, only way I know how to explain it is, okay. Today I called it acid eye, and I was just sitting and I was staring at the wall and I was breathing and the walls were moving and everything was just chaotic, and it was just this feeling of like me being powerful, like just I was powerful, like there were I was facing off with a great opponent, the sub one, of course. Massive things were happening around me, and it's just like that feeling of no, not exactly a direct form of power, not anything tangible, not anything tangible, but like a feeling of just like control. I guess is the word I'm looking for. A feeling of deep control, over the situation, and it's like that feeling is something which I've tried to get to multiple times. We've called it the smile, right? Like the smile is going for that this concept. Lots of things are going for this concept. Um, if I started breaking it down, I think I could say that like even typical concepts of masculinity start trying to break down into this concept as well. They're all just like archetypes into like how to act basically. But essentially, the the feeling of control derives from the understanding that you are a sacrifice and that you are reaching for something better. In other words, if I was in a fight with a wolf, if I'm cornered by a wolf, I'm not afraid because I understand. It's just the love of faith.